Hela Governor wants weapons returned. Training forces on policing standards. And PMV operators fed up with police opportunists.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Tuesday's news. PMV operators from Gulf Province are concerned about police roadblocks along the Gulf to Port Moresby Highway. They say police officers have been setting up roadblocks along the highway and demanding PMV drivers and crews pay dubious spot fines. Today, all PMV operators gathered at the Police Internal Investigation Directorate to report this matter.
This morning, PMV operators and passengers from Gulf Province turned out in numbers at the Police Internal Investigation Directorate in the nation's capital. This follows a recent incident between members of the police and PMV operators along the Gulf to Port Moresby Highway. The PMV operators claimed the police officers confiscated their licenses and demanded they pay 100 kina each.
Last week Saturday, all 8 car blomi plastal lo daisama, all stop him lo up. All kiss him, all confiscate him, all realize this blow. Now demanded them for money.
It has been an ongoing issue of police officers setting up unnecessary roadblocks along the highway. At the roadblocks, PMV operators were asked to pay unnecessary penalty fees to the police. According to the PMV operators, up to 300 kina are being paid to police just to get past each roadblock in one trip.
Looking sa kantante di pa heavy sa come up. Also give money na gora na nokat money also ko natin. Money on give the police.
Yeah, also kalabing boundary ko lo narap lahab na kisimani lo. So sa ko still lo mipla.
Mipla totok lahab ko na. Mipla sabe all like money. Mipla give money now all by releasing me.
Gulf PMV operators chairman Paul Parivas says they are fed up of being harassed by police and it is time the authorities must address this issue.
It has been an ongoing issue for how many years now? Narapla blocking mipla lo up, narapla ba kisim lo up, mipla go kisim lo up. This must stop. As for today, me appeal go lo authorities lo ogra police affairs.
Internal Investigation Unit Officer in Charge, Chief Inspector Charles Winwan, assured the PMV operators that they will look into this issue.
We'll investigate your complaints. If the allegations, if you have enough evidence that whoever is responsible, law will take its course. Police sec will take its course, and those responsible must be answerable for the actions.
According to the Chief Inspector, some officers setting up such roadblocks are not real police officers, but police impersonators. He said police officers are not allowed to charge unnecessary penalty fees to the travelling public.
Charge you, want to get money from you. If you have a camera, if you have a mobile, get the registration number plate of the vehicle. Get the photograph of the police officer, whoever is responsible at that time. Post it in the social media or come to his office and report him to us.
Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
Policing in the upper highlands of Papua New Guinea is tough and many times police personnel themselves become victims of violence. A recent training program facilitated by the International Committee of the Red Cross for police and PNGDF personnel in the highlands provinces will refresh their understanding of international policing standards.
The training will enhance the abilities of the security forces working and living in Western Highlands, Enga, Hela and Southern Highlands to enforce their duties according to national and international guidelines or standards of policing, rules on engagement, rules on when to use force and how they respect human rights laws. These 4 provinces were chosen because of increasing law and order issues.
The law enforcement officials officers and the community. And we know that the law enforcement officials, military and police officers are part of the society, part of the community.
However, policing in these 4 provinces is tough due to the tribal mentality of the people. When it comes to policing, many use force. Some police personnel have become victims of gun violence, especially in places such as Hela and Enga provinces. This is a challenge many police officers face every day, knowing they might return home dead or alive, and whether they can use force when there is violence.
There are Enga province as a whole, and also the Hela province. It's one of the very vital areas of police, but there are laws in place. So this also reminds us, in whatever action take, we have to consider that the people's citizens' rights.
The training is a refresher for both police and PNG Defence Force personnel to enforce their duties with care, as many innocent lives have also been lost to police brutality. Military personnel also assist police in enforcing law and order, and this kind of training will enhance their understanding of when to use force when there is no war.
Personnel, they are aware, but the only thing is we need to disseminate to all the troops. We tell they must aware of the international laws and the PNG law also governing the rights of the people.
30 to 40% of the country's yearly budget is used to resolve law and order problems in the country. Prime Minister James Marape says under his leadership, the national government will not fund districts and provinces that are fighting and causing law and order problems. Vasinat Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Porgera landowners of the Porgera mine are uniting together to present a position paper to the national government through Prime Minister James Marape. There are 23 landowners who are committee agents who partake in warden hearings. Representing all 23, Nixon Mangape of the Tiene Wape clan said that they are now uniting to present their stance to the government. The Porgera mine special mining lease had expired on August the 16th. Landowners have been in heated argument amongst themselves and the mine to renegotiate the terms of the SML.
The 23 committee agents coming together after they had felt they had been fighting amongst each other and have not been represented and had their grievances heard.
According recognizing 24 agents, we'll negotiate with them state, barrack and then a provincial government.
The position paper expected to be presented to the Prime Minister on Friday, and the 23 committee agent reps has called on for all committee agents to be in Port Moresby.
You must come joining me, the 23 originals, long preparing position paper and give long right honorable Prime Minister Honorable James Marape.
Of the 23, only 14 gathered for the media conference. While discussions are still underway on the content of the position paper, the landowners have been trying to renegotiate terms for the special mining lease or to not agree on the SML to be renewed.
People are not working on one side, but issue stop by representing 24 agents within a special mining lease.
Adelaide's Xerox Kari, National EMTV News.
The hearing into the Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited by the Parliament Public Accounts Committee was deferred to November the 5th as Kumul Petroleum failed to attend today. In two letters delivered by the lawyer from Gemma Lawyers advising that the KPHL board and Managing Director Wapu Sonk being unable to attend the hearing and for it to be moved to a suitable date for the hearing on the 4th of November. PAC Chairman Sir John Pundari said that it was a first in his experience to have a public servant state that they are unable to attend a PAC hearing.
An empty state function room for the KPHL public accounts hearing. The committee entering the room only to announce that the hearing would be moved. The Public Accounts Committee receiving two letters from KPHL Board and the Managing Director Wapu Sonk advising that they would be unable to attend the hearing and that it should be moved to November 4th. The Public Accounts Committee Chairman, Sir John Pundari, saying that it was the first of its kind where a public servant had refused to attend a hearing but accepted the letters from KPHL Board and the Managing Director and moved the hearing to November 5th.
And for the first time, I have experienced myself as servants of the public can be able to attend to a date as set by the committee and summoned by the committee to appear to give evidences insofar as public monies and public resources are concerned.
The reason for the no-show, unable to attend due to work commitments and that they were overseas.
They've got other businesses to attend. And we accept those reasons.
The chairman going on to state the reason for the hearing was to allow the public to know the status of public funds belonging to the people.
Public monies, what is public assets, what is public resources. And our inquiries are to bring to public scrutiny for the information of the public about their public monies and their public assets for that matter.
This isn't the first time KPHL and the Public Accounts Committee have been in conflict. KPHL in the initial stages of the committee inquiry refusing to cooperate and then later on refusing to furnish bank transactions.
I really do appreciate the fact that they've written to us through their lawyers. Though we have had some bumpy rides with Kumul Petroleum Holdings, coming to today, I think we have had some sense of cooperation, let me put it that way.
Meanwhile, the acting Auditor General who was present at the hearing said he was pleased that the committee was in function to look into several of reports they submit to Parliament.
But other matters, it comes through the Public Accounts Committee and they take it on. And you are the ultimate authority. You know, you look through and you see and you ask questions and you have that right because you represent the people. And so for me, as the acting Auditor General representing our office, I'm happy to see this office up and running because I myself out there fighting this thing. And I need you, my big brother, to come in.
The hearing was closed and moved to November 5th, a day ahead of the requested date by KPHL. Sir John ending the hearing with a strong warning, stating that this would be the first and the last of its kind that the Public Accounts Committee will accept. Adelaide Sirks Kari, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Welcome back to National MTV News. To Milne Bay Province, and severe flooding has caused widespread damage and disrupted traffic in Alatau and surrounding areas. In Bow Village, people claimed shoddy construction is to blame for the overflow that is threatening to damage a newly constructed road. Reports from Alatau say cocoa nurseries have also been washed away. More rain is expected in the coming days. A teacher in East New Britain has spoken out, claiming she hasn't been paid for 4 years. Grace Lokarea, a teacher at Kyton Primary School in rural Pomio district, says she is actively performing her job but has not been paid for her services. Mrs. Lonkarea believes a duplicate of teaching positions may have caused the issue, and she is calling for immediate help from the Education Department.
Grace Lonkaria has been serving in the teaching services for 18 years. 4 of them, she hasn't been paid her salaries despite performing her active duty. In 2016, Mrs. Lonkaria was posted to a new school in Pomio district, but her transfer from her previous school came with what she least expected.
Filling in the resumption form, this plus school, not knowing that someone was already paid on that position. So, all in a bin alpimi lo follow up lo stratimol papers blumi, and then me bringing me along only lay me off lo pay.
Since 2017, the Education Department and the Teaching Service Commission continue to receive a backlash from the Teachers Union for not paying teachers' entitlements. This includes salaries and other dues such as holiday traveling arrangements.
After sometimes, Mr. go check up the main office lokokopo, fill in all forms, also talking me also all get the documents play you already ready. But me pla waiting TSC blong extending pay you.
Ms. Loncaria is calling on both the National and the East Nubitan Provincial Education Department to help her, a process that hopefully will not take as long as 4 years.
Me appeal long TSC, enough you look savvy long all display heavy. I think me one no got them teachers too inside the district na country too only got this heavy.
Grace is one of many teachers, particularly in rural schools, who have spoken out. The remoteness of their schools is an issue that has put her and others at a point of disadvantage to make their situation known to the Education Department, and many of them continue to work and suffer in silence. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
About 70 staff from the Department for Community Development and Religion have successfully completed training on gender equality and social inclusion, GESI. The training is to have staff understand GESI in their workplace and the purposes of this policy within the public service. The week-long training was organized by the department's GESI division and facilitated by the Department of Personnel Management. During the presentation of certificates recently, Department of Personnel Management representatives encouraged participants to share the knowledge they had learnt with their fellow colleagues. A representative from the Department of Community Development said this training has helped the participants know more about GESI and its purpose within the public service. The participants are now certified GESI officers and the voice of gender equality and social inclusion in their respective divisions within this department. Morobe Province has awarded a 500,000 kina contract to a lay company to build a double-story classroom for Ville Primary School. Alliance Project Insight is expected to complete the project by next year. In April last year, after 6 buildings accommodating 1,800 students were condemned by the Fire Service and the Building Board, the school will need 20 more buildings.
The manager of the Provincial Works Office, Charlie Sindang, who refused to be interviewed on camera, told EMTV News this morning that the contract awarded to the Alliance Project Insight Company is official as of today following this acceptance letter. According to the letter, the company will build a double-story building that will accommodate 4 classes.
School is operating smoothly, but the only problem we are facing now is the spaces in the classroom.
In April last year, the school was ordered to shut down by the PNG Fire Service, Health Department and the Building Board for not being structurally safe. 6 buildings that accommodated 24 classes were condemned. More than 1,800 students were sent home. The Lake District supported the school with 50,000 kina to build temporary classrooms and made a commitment of 1.2 million kina to build new classrooms. Morobe Provincial Government committed 500,000 kina that was paid to the Provincial Works Division, according to the school's head teacher.
Money will not come directly to the school. The money will be monitored by Provincial Works.
However, the head of the building section, Ivan Wawo, told EMTV News earlier this month that the money wasn't paid into the office. He said the money was available at the provincial government's social sector's account in August this year. A legal contract document that included the scope, designs, terms and conditions of the contract will have to be signed by the contractor and approved by the government departments before construction begins. According to the Provincial Works Manager, Charlie Sindang, this process usually takes more than 2 months. Julie Badui, Owa, National EMTV News, Lay.
Approximately 2.7 million kina has been funded by the Global Environment Facility on a project that is aimed at improving the quality of information available to stakeholders. The information relates to climate change in agriculture, forestry and other land uses in PNG.
Agriculture, forestry and other land use is the most important sector on climate change in Papua New Guinea, as it contains the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions as well as carbon sink. These sectors play an important role in PNG's effort towards climate change mitigation, particularly in red plots, since forest covers about 78% of PNG's land. That is according to PNG Forest Authority. Papua New Guinea Climate Change and Development Authority representative Alfred Rongold says the project will run for 3 years and is expected to be a guide for both public and private sectors.
We are still developing the country. We have to address sustainable forest management. So this project basically will also highlight some of these areas. So for PNG, as the third largest forest in the world, in a global scene, we have to make some effort to address global warming.
Mr. Rungal says the purpose of the workshop was to announce to the government and relevant stakeholders that the project was now at its implementation stage. Michelle Steven, National EMTV News.
To our top story now, when Hela Governor Philip Undialu today appealed to members of the community near the Tokyo Bridge outside Tari to hand over 2 weapons they seized from police during an ambush last week. It was during this attack that a policeman was shot dead. He has also called for the community to hand over the suspect. This call comes as police manpower has increased in the province.
Since the killing of Sergeant David Hale 5 days ago, police presence has been increased in Tari. Mobile squad members have been brought in from Mount Hagen and Port Moresby to contain any possible trouble. Today, members of the security forces met with the provincial administration and Hela Governor Philip Undialu, who was to have met with members of the community responsible for the killing. He has since called for the return of firearms and for the suspect to be handed over to police. His call comes after an impromptu visit by the Prime Minister to the house cry of the family of Sergeant Hale last night. Prime Minister James Marape reaffirming his stand against the ongoing violence in the province.
Not killing man, what they've done, life or imprisonment. Me call sort of attended murder, but gives him death penalty. And now in war is opposite. I mean, law James Marabe making, and law stop finish on church Arab good. Bloody church blood of James Marabe like sense in law. Me feel in pain because me look at the bloody widow now, Mr. Man or killing things. So they penalty stop to murder, but give me no policy good, except in this good. Man killing man, you kiss him heavy, you killing man. We said man, hold him down no place. Hold him down. Now post it heavy no place. Maximum must kiss him and 30-year troubles. They blood of gun surrender, plenty of surrender, supply like him all homemade and no gun.
Local politicians like Marape and Undialu have a tense, delicate situation to manage. While the option of having expensive security operations remains, they have opted to take the long route of negotiating for the community to hand over troublemakers and weapons. In July, more than 20 men, women and children were killed in a tribal fight-related violence. Weeks of negotiations resulted in the surrender of a key figure involved in previous tribal fight-related killings.
Every police station, now every provincial police headquarters by IGAT and provincial police structure by IGAT, complaint unit from public. You feel yourself police or security forces, come working nothing, you go lodge in complaint, want an evidence for you. No can throw my hand, go back from police. You throw my hand, number one, you cost him more heavy than you. Number two, you're making police money and less work of less living.
There has been no arrests yet since the killing of the police sergeant. Helen Sea, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. It's Tuesday. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll take a look at stories making headlines overseas. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, a border ceasefire is allowing medical teams to help evacuate Kurdish fighters and their families from the war zone imposed by Turkey. But it's been revealed some US troops are showing their own dismay at the decision by the White House to pull them out and let the Turks go in.
They shout of victory and resistance, but this is retreat. A convoy of the dead and injured, fighters and civilians leaving Kurdish towns on the border. Turkey wants to cleanse the border areas of them, and they are succeeding. 3 days into the temporary ceasefire, the town of Ras Al Ain, which has seen the worst of the fighting, is now empty of Kurdish-led fighters. They have withdrawn as part of the military pause. The break in battle has allowed some of the gravely injured to be moved to safer areas. They've been treated in the basement of a hospital without any power. So many needed help. There weren't enough vehicles to move them. Danny Ellis is a British engineer who was part of the rescue mission.
In the sort of real core of the hospital, away from all the windows and down in the basement, there were a lot of people who were in much more serious condition, gunshot injuries, blast injuries, who had to be physically carried out. So we had a lot of stretchers, we had wheelchairs, this kind of thing, and some people were simply just carried out over shoulders.
It's not just the Kurds who are moving, so too are the Americans. They fly their flag, but this is not a proud moment. At least one soldier choosing to wear the logo of his old Kurdish allies as he left them. President Trump says he's bringing the troops home, but he's not. They're shifting to Iraq and shifting the balance of a region. The only troops moving in are those following Turkish orders. They want this land for themselves, and they're taking it. The temporary ceasefire, however fragile, appears to have offered them a chance to strengthen their ranks. In the space of 2 weeks, this area has gone from peace to war. Who knows where it will go when the 120-hour pause ends on Tuesday. For those unfortunate enough to live down there, well, they can only wait and hope, aware their futures will be determined by other people's words and actions.
To the US, and a $25,000 reward has been offered for the capture of 2 suspects believed to have shot dead an Australian man living in Texas. The motives not clear, and police say it may have even been the case of mistaken identity, but the emergency call the man's wife made reveals just how distressing the ordeal was.
Help me, please. Oh, someone just broke in my house and they shot my husband.
Suburban Houston, 3 minutes after midnight, an anguished cry for help.
Okay, did they break in or did they shoot through the window or? I don't know. I just heard glass shattering and then my husband jumped up and took off after him and they just... Okay. They started shooting. How many people?
Angelina Estorff's gut-wrenching call to 911 as husband Brenton lay fatally wounded nearby.
Is your husband breathing? I don't know. I'm so scared to walk over there. They shot him. Oh my God, I think he's really hurt. Baby, are you okay? Baby, are you okay?
The young mother terrified.
Okay. Is the person that shot your husband, is he still there? No, I don't think so, but I'm so scared I can't walk over to my husband.
And fearing for her 2 young children.
Sorry, I have 2 kids in the house. Send her name. Okay, where are your kids at right now? One is in the room with me and the other one is in their bedroom. Okay.
Police and paramedics now racing to the home.
I'm freaking out really bad right now. And I'm trying to get the numbers to my neighbor.
That neighbour was the first to arrive, a nurse who tried to help Brenton but couldn't save him. Brenton's father, Michael, arrived today. Their priority to just be together, to care for Brenton's son and daughter.
It still hasn't really sunk in it's real.
Thankful for those getting them through the worst.
I really appreciate all my friends and everything that helped me.
To the UK, and Prince William is reportedly worried for his brother, the Duke of Sussex, after Harry and Meghan reveal the struggles they are facing as royals in a new documentary. It comes as the pair undertake legal action against a number of British tabloids over privacy issues.
It was all smiles in front of the cameras just weeks ago, but the struggles they're facing behind the scenes have now been revealed. Harry thinks the press tore down his mother, Princess Diana. He now fears that's happening to his wife.
Every single time I see a camera, every single time I hear a click, every single time I see a flash, it takes me straight back.
I was constantly tired, exhausted, because the pressure was it was so cruel.
In the new documentary, Harry echoing the words of his mother.
It was perhaps the most insightful interview that we've had from a member of the royal family since Diana's famous 1995 Panorama interview, in which she really laid her emotions bare. So I think it was quite interesting that Harry and Meghan felt that it's reached a point where they have to speak out.
And now there are reports Prince William is worried for his brother after his comments around his mental health. In the documentary, the Duke of Sussex also addressing rumours about his relationship with the future king.
We're brothers, we'll always be brothers. We're certainly on different paths at the moment, but I will always be there for him, and as I know, he'll always be there for me.
In my view, rift is perhaps a little bit of a strong word, but nor did he take the opportunity to say, yes, we're all fine and dandy, there's been nothing.
Royal commentator Victoria Arbiter also pouring cold water on speculation Meghan and Harry are planning a move to southern Africa.
Well, who pays for their security there? Yes, they're both independently wealthy and they could support themselves there, but is the South African taxpayer suddenly paying for their security, or is the British taxpayer paying for that?
Although South Africa is a Commonwealth nation, the Queen isn't head of state. A shift, therefore, unlikely.
Unless, of course, they renounce all of their royal privileges, their royal titles, everything to do with their life as a member of the royal family. I don't see that happening either.
And while the couple's planning to take a step back from royal life towards the end of the year, a reminder certain duties come with the territory.
Their job really is to protect the institution of monarchy, to protect the Queen and all that she stands for as head of state. So when we suddenly see royals speaking out like this, it makes everyone wobble a little bit.
Those wobbles, a far cry from the smooth carriage rides of just a year and a half ago.
You're watching National EMTV News. We go for a break. When we come back, Trukai Sports. We'll have some football news and results from the weekend's Three Peaks race. Stay tuned for the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. A 16-year-old and his teammate are this year's Three Peaks Hobby Division winners. Imana Kone from Kairuku in the Central Province was the crewmate of skipper Melona Mula on Hobby 41. The Three Peaks is a race which comprises of sailing, swimming and running, and is hosted annually by the Royal Papua Yacht Club in Port Moresby.
The Fairfax Harbour decorated by an array of colourful hobby cats. They are part of the Three Peaks race, comprising of two categories. The bigger A-class yachts is the other. The race midday Saturday saw the boats cross the face of downtown Port Moresby before making a left turn en route to Manubada Island, just off the coast of Ella Beach. It was the lighter hobbies that arrived on the island first. Last year's Hobby Cat winners in 22 were in front. But there was a wild card in the mix coming in third, Hobby 41. On Manubada, it was a climb to the top. Back down and onto the second leg, Lolarua Island for the next peak. The last turn into the Royal Papua Yacht Club was critical for the leaders. 41 came in neck and neck to shore before sending crew Imana Kone on the climb. The last climb was Burns Peak. Imana Kone left everyone behind, clocking an overall time of 2 hours, 29 minutes and 46 seconds.
I'm really happy that I just won these 3 peaks because I'm happy that my mom and dad was supporting me, telling me in the morning that you must win these 3 peaks. They was telling me that.
Finishing first for the A-class yachts, Just Divorced.
It was tough. It was really hot out there, but it was really nice to cross the finish line together, so it was good. You know, you go in, we'll say, well, we'll just do it for fun, but you get competitive out there. But it was just a great day. No one was hurt, and yeah, it was hot, but we were quite happy.
Josh DeVos also took the overall Tripix crown for the second year running. They clocked in at 2 hours, 44 minutes and 51 seconds. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV Sports.
The Besta Cup finals have been deferred to be now held from the 30th of this month to the 2nd of November in Leh. The extension was endorsed by PNGFA upon consultation with the General Secretary's office in regards to a few technical issues. According to competition manager Simon Koima, there are 2 men's and 2 women's teams from each region who have qualified for the finals. He said the southern region has a few disputes and is awaiting the appeal committee to sit through their appeal. The extension is to see all issues and disputes sorted out before the finals. After just a year in the National Soccer League competition, Port Moresby Soccer Association team, POM United, will not be returning next season. The 2019-20 NSL season is slated for a November 16th kickoff, but despite finishing third in the Southern Conference last season, POM United has not acquitted sponsorship funding, the PMSA executives opting to bench the team permanently.
The Port Moresby Soccer Association will not be fielding a National Soccer League team for the 2019-2020 season. Last year, under the PMSA, the POM United team was registered to take part in the Southern Conference of the National Soccer League competition. National Capital District Governor Powes Pakop jumped on board to sponsor the PMSA NSL team. But out of the 300,000 that was presented to the PMSA for the competition and for POM United has not provided acquittals. This has left PMSA management no choice but to pull the plug on the team.
PMSA won't field the team in the NSL because of the reports we require from the team management about the funding that's been given by NCDC and funding given by PMSA to Port Moresby United. We want the full report and acquittals on everything.
It seems not only the management have been asking for acquittals from the POM United team management.
It's quite a substantial amount, and the clubs will have every right to question us about the use of funds.
Acting President of PMSA, Joseph Ville spelled out the amount of funding that was subjected to the acquittals by the POM United team management.
It's a big chunk of money that's gone to them to manage. 100,000 kina is given to PMSA for the Premier League and the association. We granted it because of the descent for the team. And another additional 150,000 was given for the team alone. So the team has to acquit on those.
Ville mentioned that the management had received a preliminary report, but it was not acceptable to the PMSA executives. PMSA is standing by their decision not to enter a team into the NSL, but will make an exception if Papua New Guinea Football Association makes it compulsory for associations to field teams.
If the PNGFA decides that it's compulsory for associations to be in the conference competition, then we have to oblige.
Freddy Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
The Port Moresby Soccer Association in the coming weeks will make an announcement for an extraordinary congress. Former PNGFA Vice President, who was the PMSA President, John Wesley Gondjuan, was handed a 2-year and 8-month ban from all football-related activities by FIFA. Acting President Joseph Eladona says a new president will be voted in at the extraordinary congress.
The big agenda for the Congress is the election of our president. We all know that FIFA has placed some sanctions on our former president, Mr. John Wesley. So that Congress will elect a new president, and where there is a vacancy in the executives, we will also have elections for the executives. And important, give a briefing to our clubs on our financial standing.
Don't go anywhere. Trukai Sports will continue with more, including football abroad and T20 cricket. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To some football abroad, and Real Madrid coach Zinedine Zidane has admitted that constant speculation about his future with the team has been bothering him in the build-up to Tuesday's Champions League Group A game against Galatasaray. Real landed in Istanbul, reeling from a shock 1-0 defeat to Real Mallorca, the first loss in the La Liga this season, which allowed Barcelona to take over at the top of the standings.
Just when his side was humbled 3-0 by Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League last month, the latest domestic defeat has led to suggestions in the Spanish media that Zidane's job is at risk and Jose Mourinho could be in line to replace him. The Real Madrid manager spoke to the press ahead of the Champions League clash against Galatasaray and tried to play down its importance. Zidane, who has won 3 Champions League titles as Real coach, was surprisingly candid at a news conference on Monday, admitting his job could be in the balance, but that he chooses to embrace adversity and pressure to show character. The 13-time European champions are bottom of Group A with 1 point, and a defeat against Galatasaray would leave their hopes of remaining in the competition hanging in the balance. Real captain Sergio Ramos said the players were also getting fed up of the uncertainty about Zidane's position. Real are still without injured pair Gareth Bale and Luka Modric, but Toni Kroos has returned. Helen Sea, EMTV's World Sport.
To cricket, and the English cricket team has arrived in New Zealand to take on the Black Caps, starting with a 5-match T20 series.
Leading England cricket into their post-World Cup winning era. Not that Chris Silverwood's holding on to that.
No, we've moved on now. Obviously, I mean, it was a fantastic game of cricket to be involved in it at any level, really. It was a real delight and experience. But we have got to move on. Obviously, there's different series in front of us now, and we've got to concentrate on that.
And those series begin here, with 2020s and tests adding to what's been one of England's biggest years in history. Silverwood's moved to try and refresh some of his biggest names, leaving the likes of Ben Stokes, Joe Root and Stuart Broad at home until the tests.
Business as usual from a one-day point of view. I mean, T20s, obviously Morgan's got a real strong hold on what he wants to do with the team. Obviously it's my job to back him up and just help him put things in place.
But he has enlisted one person he believes can help them beat the Black Caps again, a Kiwi. Former New Zealand spinner Jeetan Patel added to the rivals' coaching staff for the T20s.
Local guy as well, brings some local knowledge for us. Yeah, obviously conditions, but equally teaching the guys how to bowl as well in these conditions and passing his experience on.
Silverwood's confirmed he'll get down to some of the early rounds of the Plunket Shield in preparation for the 2 tests, but he's unwilling to predict if they'll be preparing to face Lockie Ferguson in those matches.
I mean, Lockie is a fine bowler, but he's not the only one. You know, I mean, there's a few out there.
Those few tuning up themselves as they seek revenge against an England side refreshed and ready.
That ends Trukai Sports for this evening. When we come back, we'll take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, fine weather expected in Port Moresby and Daru. Light showers in Kerma, rain and showers over the next 24 hours in Alotau, and partly cloudy for Popondetta. To the Momase region, cloudy weather and some showers over the next 24 hours for Lae and Wau. Light showers as well expected in Medang and Wewak, a few showers in Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Buka can expect showers and thunderstorms over the next 24 hours. Rain showers as well expected for Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, all the major centres, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg can all expect rain showers and thunderstorms over the next 24 hours.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
And before we go, a top recap of our stories this evening. Hela Governor appeals for the return of weapons and community to hand over suspect. PMV operators speak out about dubious spot fines along the Hiritano Highway, and first Public Accounts Committee hearing into Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited deferred. And that's the way it is today, Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2019. On behalf of the National EMTV News team right around the country, present viewing on your number one to watch. Good night.